you ever felt like you were being watched? Like someone was silently tracking your every step in the dark? In today's video, you'll hear 4 terrifying true stories about stalkers. People who appear when you least expect them, turning an ordinary life into a living nightmare. From the twisted neighbour who wasn't what he seemed, to silent, threatening messages, and the chilling moment you realise that safety is just a fragile illusion. Turn off the lights, put on your headphones, and get ready to enter the world of real fear. Story 1. The Obsessed Neighbour. When kindness turns into a nightmare. I moved into my new house in a quiet rural area back in 2019. It was just a short walk from a small bar my dad used to frequent. Everything seemed peaceful here, especially the neighbour next door, a man everyone in the area described as the nicest guy. When I first met him, he was friendly, outgoing, and suggested we exchange numbers in case I ever needed help. I figured he was just a good neighbour, nothing more. But things began to shift only a few days after my dad left town. That's when I got the first text from him. It was gentle, even sweet, sweetie. I left a little gift for you on your front porch. I checked my mailbox and found a small hand-painted dish for my cat. I didn't think too much of it at first, assuming he was just being kind. Then the texts kept coming. More frequent, more personal. He started calling me pet names like Cutie. I sent a clear message back saying I wasn't interested in anything beyond a normal neighbourly relationship. But he replied with rambling texts talking about friendship, how he wanted to be closer. The weird gifts continued to appear, even though I rarely responded. That's when I started feeling uncomfortable, no afraid. He always seemed to know where I was, what I was doing. He showed up outside my house, outside the bar. He texted me things suggesting he'd been watching me every day. People at the bar told me he once showed up with an axe and threatened to do something if the voices in his head didn't stop. The police had confiscated his axe, but he was never arrested. Then it escalated. One day I found a dead squirrel lying right in front of my car, clearly run over. I didn't dare touch it. I just stepped over it and went inside. Later, I received a message from him. Someone left a dead squirrel at your doorstep. Don't worry, I moved it for you. The way he said it sent a chill down my spine. Not long after, he left alive round a bullet on my window ledge. A silent message. He said it was meant for anyone who dares cross the space between our houses. I started living on high alert. I was constantly looking over my shoulder, tense all the time. On Halloween, he built a large homemade coffin and placed it in his yard. Handwritten on it, "Here lies the final resting place of the sick mind player." I couldn't believe this was the person I lived next to. When I stopped replying to his messages, things got worse. One day he threw a £50 flower pot at my front door. I called the police immediately. They advised me to file for a restraining order, but once the order was granted, his behaviour grew even more unhinged. He tried to cast videos onto my TV screen from outside. He broke parts of my privacy fence in the middle of the night. He screamed nonsense into the darkness. I spent thousands of dollars installing security cameras all around the property. But still he kept showing up, ranting to people who weren't there, screaming gibberish that made your skin crawl. I called the police many times, but they always said they couldn't do much without solid proof. I lived in fear for years. I stopped going outside. kept all windows shut. I felt like I was being watched every second. One night, he shattered a piece of the fence, the only thing that made me feel somewhat safe in my own yard. Now, I park my car on the street, too afraid to step onto my own property. My boyfriend and I are trying to save up to move, to leave this nightmare behind. But even if we do, the trauma stays. The memories of those terrifying days and nights won't leave me. If you've gone through something similar, know that you're not alone. Seek help, and don't be afraid to share your story. Story 2, Nightmare on the Lake, a final farewell turned fatal. In 2004, a group of friends and I rented a house by the lake for the weekend just to relax, drink, and enjoy life. From Friday night into Saturday morning, we partied hard. The air was filled with music, laughter, and the carefree energy of youth echoing across the quiet countryside. But by Saturday evening, we had calmed down. Everyone was tired, and we decided not to drink anymore, just to unwind and enjoy the peaceful atmosphere. Around 9 p.m, 5 friends gathered on the second floor terrace, gazing out at the woods surrounding the lake. I stayed down below with one other friend standing near a small table placed close to the tree line. Suddenly a chill swept through the air, a heavy, eerie cold that wrapped around us. We both stopped talking and stared into the dense blackness of the forest. And then it began. From deep within the trees came an unholy sound, voices chanting in unison, a ritualistic incantation that echoed hauntingly through the still night. It was all male voices, steady and synchronized in the most unnatural way, like something demonic had awakened and was calling out. We froze, hearts pounding, breath caught in our chests. No one moved for nearly a full minute. Then I bolted up the stairs, and rushed to the terrace, where the others were. As I got to the top, the chanting stopped. I asked if anyone else had heard it. That's when it started again, louder, more chilling. Everyone stood still, the air thick with dread. Then the chanting abruptly ended, replaced by a loud metallic crash like something heavy being smashed open. And then came the scream. It was the most horrific, gut-wrenching scream I've ever heard in my life, a man wailing in agony somewhere out in the forest. It pierced through the night and froze every inch of my body. I looked at my brother. His face was pale, completely shaken. Before we could even react, the scream was cut off. Silence. And then the chanting started again. It didn't sound human anymore. It felt like a curse, like we were witnessing something we were never meant to hear. One of our friends suggested we go into the woods to investigate. Every single person said no. No one wanted to get anywhere near that nightmare. I wished I could call the police. But in the middle of that vast forest with no clear direction to point them to, what would they even find? The next morning we left as soon as we could. As we drove away from that place, I felt like something unseen was following us, like we had disturbed something and it wasn't done with us yet. I took a deep breath of relief once the cabin disappeared behind the trees, but the fear never truly left. Even now that night haunts me. Story 3, The Dark Stare and a Terrifying Truth. In the summer of 2021, I was working as a lifeguard at a small beach called Adams Point Beach by Lake Quenny in New York. The job wasn't anything special, just a way to make a living and stay away from my house where my parents argued every night. A year after I started, I was demoted to an assistant lifeguard. I no longer worked alongside my close friends, and the days became dull and isolating. But none of that compares to what happened one August afternoon in 2022. I was called in to fill in for a co-worker who called out. That day only 3 lifeguards were on duty. About 10 minutes into my shift, I was in the break room when I heard a wave of frantic screaming from outside. I ran out and froze at the sight in front of me. A woman was being carried on a backboard. Her leg had been nearly severed, torn open so badly it looked like it might fall off. The metallic scent of blood filled the air, thick and nauseating. She was screaming in pain, raw, agonizing cries that turned my stomach. But I had to help. The others had already called 911 and signaled for a helicopter. She needed to be airlifted immediately. Witnesses said a high-speed boat had raced too close to the shore, too fast to notice her swimming, and ran right over her. When people shouted at the driver, he stopped for just a few seconds, then sped off and disappeared. Someone described the boat. It was a blue jet boat. There was only one person I knew in that entire area who owned a boat like that. My father. It felt like the ground crumbled beneath me. I went home, and through the kitchen window I saw him pacing around looking nervous. I was filled with rage. I couldn't take it. I confronted him and lost control. I punched him over and over. He fought back, then ran out of the house. He hasn't come back since. No criminal charges were ever filed. I still don't know the full truth. But I do know the woman survived. She lost her leg. I quit the lifeguard job after that. The nightmares started. I've had to go through therapy again and again. But the horror didn't stop there. One evening in 2021, before the accident, I was kayaking on the lake alone. My paddle hit something soft in the water. I shined my flashlight down and saw the floating corpse of an elderly woman. I screamed. I called the police. News spread quickly. People began calling me the guy who found the body. Now all that's left of my life are memories I wish I could forget. The accident. My missing father. The corpse on the water. They haunt me. Like a silent, permanent shadow. Story 4. The ghost behind the door. It all started when I moved into a small residential neighborhood not far from the city. New house, new life. I thought this would be a fresh, peaceful start. But I never imagined that the scariest thing would come from right next door. My neighbor, a middle-aged man, seemed friendly at first. He always smiled and greeted me whenever we crossed paths. But soon I began receiving strange messages from him. Sometimes just casual check-ins. Other times, disturbingly personal, calling me pet names that made my skin crawl. I tried to keep my distance, barely replying. But he kept showing up at the grocery store, at the park, even lurking outside when I came home late from work. Then, one day, I found a small hidden camera carefully tucked into the bushes near my bedroom window. My heart dropped. The feeling of being watched wasn't just in my head anymore. I called the police. They came, investigated and confiscated the surveillance device. But he didn't stop. He left a box on my doorstep. Inside were bizarre little gifts along with handwritten notes. Notes filled with twisted affection and veiled threats. One night, I was fast asleep when a loud banging on my front door jolted me awake. I rushed to open it. No one was there, but hanging from the door was a mask, and scrawled across it were the chilling words, "I know where you are." After that, I couldn't sleep alone anymore. Every time I looked out the window, I saw him standing there in the distance, just watching. Cold. Expressionless. His stare crushed me with fear. Eventually, I filed for and received a restraining order from the court. But the damage was already done. My life had been turned upside down. Every strange noise, every passing shadow outside, makes my heart pound in panic. The fear lingers like a ghost that won't let go. And I've learned something I'll never forget. Sometimes the most dangerous person isn't a stranger. It's the one standing closest to you. Today's stories are a chilling reminder that fear doesn't always come from the dark, but sometimes from the people we thought we knew. If you've ever experienced stalking or something similar, don't hesitate to share your story with us in the comments below. And if this video gave you chills, make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss the next terrifying tale. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time in another story, where fear might be closer than you think, or